just died. Alright, so as you can see from the last time I showed you when I set up the Volkswagens with the wipers and wiper fluid, it has gotten crazy outside. And there's supposed to be a blizzard this weekend. So I picked up some OEM Audi A6 S-Line wheels with Bridgestone Blizzak tires. I'll post a video in the future of the specifications of the wheels and tires, but this video is going to focus more on the installation process. So I'm going to show you right now what I'm using for the install, and then I will see you after we're done. I'm using a breaker bar, extension, and a 17mm socket, a socket drive, torque wrench, a 3-ton jack stand, and a 3-ton low-profile floor jack. Alright, so the first thing I did was go around the car and break the lug bolts free while the car was still on the ground. For this, I used a 17mm socket with 2-inch extension and a breaker bar. Then I lifted the car with the floor jack. The front jacking point on this Golf is right behind the front wheel, indicated by a triangular arrow indent on the underside of the side skirt. I'm jacking the car up enough to slide the jack stands behind the floor jack. Normally, if you're working on a car for an extended period of time, you would lower the car onto the jack stands to support the car. But because changing the wheels out is a fairly quick job, I just slid the jack stand behind the car just in case the floor jack were to fail. And let's be honest, this is a Harbor Freight product, so that's pretty likely. Once the car is jacked up, I use the ratcheting socket drive to loosen up the lugs until they're loose enough to remove with my fingers. Because Audis and Volkswagens use lug bolts instead of lug nuts, make sure to hold the wheels as you take the final lug bolt out. Otherwise you risk having the wheels fall off the hub lift onto the braking components. I used my feet to support the wheel while removing the bolts. I then carefully removed the wheels, trying to avoid hitting the wheelbarrow on the caliper or rotor. To install the new wheel, I again used my feet to hold the wheel up to the hub. I then used the socket with an extension to thread in the first lug bolt. Getting the first bolt threaded is a little bit tricky because it's hard to line up the bolt holes, but if you slowly rotate the wheels, the bolt will eventually find the threads. I used the socket drive to get the bolts as tight as I could with the wheel lifted. Then I removed the jack stand and lowered the car. This Volkswagen Golf R requires the lug bolts to be torqued to 90 foot-pounds or 120 Newton meters. So, going around the lugs, I used the torque wrench to tighten each lug to spec. Now, onto the rear wheel. The rear jacking point on this car is right in front of the rear wheel, again indicated by an indented triangular arrow. You may have noticed that I have a piece of wood between the floor jack and the car. This is because the jacking point on this car is very close to the side skirts, so I'm using the wood to elevate the jack's saddle away from the side skirts to avoid damaging the side skirt. Similar to the front wheel, I removed the rear wheel. This time, however, the wheel isn't coming off of the hub as easily. With a few swift kicks to each side of the wheel should break loose from the hub. Now we can align the new wheel, rethread the lugs, and tighten them down. Lower the car and torque the lugs to spec. Now onto the other side, and as you would expect, the procedure is exactly the same. The final step to this installation is popping in the center caps. I was hoping the VW center caps from these Talladegas would fit in the Audi wheels, but the diameter is slightly too small, so I used the Audi caps. I'm going to try to find some VW center caps online that will fit these wheels, so I'll update you if I do end up finding them, or if anyone out there knows where I could find some, let me know in the comments below. One last note, when you're done using your torque wrench, it is always good practice to return the wrench to the 0 torque setting. This relieves the wrench of tension and keeps the wrench in proper calibration. So there you have it. We got the winter wheels and snow tires installed on the Golf R, and I actually like the look of that. I mean, obviously not as good as the stock wheels. I really like these Daytonas. As you see, I had a chance to clean them up a little bit in here in the garage, hence the puddle over there. But I don't hate the look of these, and you know, they're gonna drive so much better. So if you do have any questions about this, leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video or you found it helpful, give me a like. And if you like this type of video, subscribe to the channel. I'm working on this MK6 Golf R, the MK5 VW Jetta. I've got a B7 A4 that we've been working on, a B5 S4. I mean, if you like VWs or Audis, this is a good channel to follow. And I'm putting out videos every week. So keep an eye out for those videos, and I'll see you next time.